Imagine waking up one morning and learning that nearly half your company is gone. Not because the business failed. Not because revenue collapsed. But because software got better. That is why the Block story landed like a shockwave. On February 26, 2026, the company behind Square and Cash App reportedly cut around 40% of its workforce while continuing to push deeper into AI. Whether you work in tech or not, this moment matters. It suggests AI is no longer just a tool teams experiment with. It is becoming part of how executives decide how many humans they need. And once that logic works at one major company, it rarely stays there. For years, the standard layoff story was simple: weak growth, bad bets, cost pressure. Block did not fit that template. It was a known consumer tech business with major products and active users. Yet the market reaction showed something bigger than one restructuring cycle. Investors treated the layoffs as a sign of future efficiency. That reaction is the key signal. Wall Street is increasingly rewarding a new equation: higher output, fewer people, stronger margins. When that equation is rewarded in public markets, boards and CEOs everywhere notice. That means the real story is not just who got cut. The real story is what incentive system those cuts just validated. Look beyond one headline and a pattern appears. Major companies have reduced teams, flattened management layers, or quietly frozen hiring while increasing AI spending at the same time. On the surface, this feels contradictory. If AI is a growth engine, why does it arrive alongside layoffs? Because growth and hiring are no longer tightly linked. In the previous era, scaling revenue often required scaling headcount. More customers usually meant more support teams, more analysts, more project managers, and more engineers. In the AI era, leaders are starting to believe they can scale revenue without scaling people at the same rate. That breaks one of the core assumptions that shaped modern white-collar careers. The contradiction disappears once you see that AI investment and labor reduction can be the same strategy, not opposite strategies. Most people picture replacement as direct substitution: one robot takes one job. What is happening now is subtler and in many ways more disruptive. AI is increasing output per person. A strong individual contributor with AI tools can now draft requirements, generate first-pass code, summarize research, write documentation, and handle customer communication in a fraction of the old timeline. That does not always eliminate a role instantly. Instead, it changes the staffing math across the organization. If one team can ship what used to require two teams, hiring plans shrink. If one manager can run a wider span with AI support, middle layers thin out. If one specialist can automate repetitive analysis, fewer entry-level roles open. This is why people feel the ground moving before they can point to a single machine that took a single job. The system is being redesigned around higher leverage per employee. Past automation waves hit factory floors first. This one is hitting laptops. AI now supports coding, writing, analysis, design drafts, internal operations, and customer messaging. In other words, it is touching the daily workflow of the same knowledge workers who were told for years that education was the long-term shield against automation. That belief is what is breaking. The new anxiety is not only economic. It is psychological. People are realizing cognitive tasks can be reorganized the same way physical labor was reorganized in earlier industrial shifts. That does not mean humans become irrelevant. It means the value of routine execution falls while the value of direction, judgment, and synthesis rises. And that transition is rarely painless while it is underway. A new operating model is taking shape. The old model depended on larger organizations, heavier process, and multiple coordination layers. It optimized for predictability in human workflows. The AI-native model is different. Teams stay smaller. Decision cycles move faster. Individuals are expected to operate with broader scope because AI copilots handle more of the mechanical load. Think of this like the shift to cloud infrastructure. Companies stopped running everything on their own physical servers and started renting scalable compute. Now many companies are moving towards scalable cognition. Instead of adding headcount to handle every new operational burden, they add AI systems to absorb routine complexity. In this structure, humans do less queue-based work and more system-level supervision. The role changes from task executor to orchestrator. The big question is whether this permanently destroys jobs or simply reshapes them. History suggests technology does create new work, but with a delay. First comes efficiency pressure and layoffs. Then roles get redesigned around the new tools. Finally, new industries and job categories emerge once the ecosystem matures. Right now, we are likely still in that first phase, which is why the headlines feel overwhelmingly negative. The replacement narrative is visible today. The reinvention narrative is still forming. That timing gap is where the social tension lies. Workers experience disruption now, while the upside arrives later and often for different skill profiles. If routine execution is increasingly automated, the durable advantage shifts. The most defensible skills are becoming problem framing, long horizon strategy, leadership under uncertainty, interdisciplinary thinking, and the ability to design systems rather than just complete assigned tasks. In practical terms, that means people who can define what should be built, why it matters, how trade-offs should be made, and how humans and AI should collaborate will capture more value than people who only execute narrow instructions. This is why the future of work may look less like traditional corporate specialization and more like applied research thinking, form hypotheses, test quickly, update models, and coordinate across domains. The winners will not be the people who avoid AI. They will be the people who learn to direct it with clarity and judgment. Block's layoffs are not only a company story. They are a preview of a broader transition. AI is moving from a productivity add-on to an organizational force that changes how firms are built, how teams are staffed, and how careers are evaluated. The question is no longer whether AI will change work. The question is how you position yourself in a world where one person, amplified by AI, can produce what once required many. That world is not coming someday. It is already here.